Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Willie.
We grow a lot of our own food from our little urban homestead here in Seattle.
We've got chickens, we've got bees, and we've got a big vegetable garden. And today on Grow Quick Eat, I'm going to talk about planting our fall crop of carrots. I'm going to show you how. And I'm also going to harvest some carrots from our spring crop. We're pretty excited that we have carrots, and I have to admit I went out there and snuck a few yesterday and they taste really good.
All right.
So I'm going to head outside and we're going to talk about growing carrots, and then we're going to come back in and I'm going to do a recipe that's super simple but so delicious. Honey roasted carrots. So carrots are a crop that you always want to direct sow out in the garden. They don't do well from transplants. And the one tricky thing about them is they have pretty small seeds and they take a long time to germinate. So I just want to show you a really great trick for getting a good germination rate out of carrots. And what you do is you go ahead and you want to prepare your soil so it's nice and smooth. There's no big clods or anything because, again, these are really small seeds. Pour some seeds out into your hand. And then you're going to take the seeds and try and plant them in a row as evenly as you can, trying to space the seeds out about an inch apart or so. You want to barely cover them up with soil, so just put a really light layer of soil over the top. If you bury the seed too deeply, it won't germinate. Then the secret trick is to put a piece of burlap over the top. This is just a coffee bag that I got at my local coffee roaster, and I cut it into a strip, and I'm going to lay it over the top of the soil and use one of these sort of U-shaped landscape fabric pins to pin it into place. You want it stretched pretty tightly over the soil. And then you just water directly over the burlap. And what this does is the burlap shades the soil and it also keeps it moist. And in turn, it keeps the seeds moist. Because if the seed dries out before it germinates, it dies and you'll get really spotty germination. So you'll just be watering directly over the top of the burlap. And you want to check on it every day. And it's summer right now, and I'm planting my fall crop of carrots. So I might need to water this 2 or 3 times a day to keep it moist. But in spring, you'll probably only need to water, once a day, if at all, because it might be raining a lot. So you'll just kind of peer underneath there every day, and as soon as you see the little sort of grassy green growth of the carrots germinating, you'll take the burlap off and expose those seedlings to the sunshine. So I'm going to head over to my spring-grown carrots that I planted in April so that we can harvest them right now and roast them up for dinner. So I usually plant carrots twice a year, once in spring, right after the last frost, and then again in mid to late summer so that I can have a fall crop. And carrots take about 65-70 days to fully mature, so you need to give yourself a couple months. I'm going to harvest some carrots here. I've got some yellow carrots and some orange carrots. Harvesting carrots is really similar, just like beets. If you watch the beet episode, you just grab the low end of the leaves and give them a jiggle and pull them right out. You may need to take a garden fork and loosen up the soil a little bit before you pull. If you try to pull a carrot out and the leaves just snap off, then that's the sign that you need to loosen up your soil before you try and pull them. I have a few carrots in the kitchen that I harvested the other day, so I think I've got enough here, and I'm just gonna take them inside so we can roast them up for dinner. Carrots straight from the garden taste great as carrot sticks eaten raw, but I really like to roast them because roasting brings out their natural sweetness and makes an almost caramelized flavor, and it's so good. Plus, it's a really simple way to prepare carrots, and it's pretty fast too. So once you have your carrots washed, you can put them onto a rimmed baking sheet. And once you get them on the tray, then you just want to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on. And we're going to be putting butter and honey on later in the roasting process, so you don't want to just douse these in oil. Just enough so that they don't stick to the pan and that they don't dry out when they're roasting. So just a little bit of oil over the top, probably not even a whole tablespoon. So you just want to roll the carrots around until they're nice and coated. And again, you don't want them doused in oil because we're going to be putting butter and honey on a little bit later in the roasting process. So get them all nicely coated with oil, and then I'm going to stick them into the oven, which has been preheated to 425. Just stick them in there. And we're gonna let those roast for 15 minutes. While they're roasting, I'm gonna go ahead and melt the honey and the butter together, and then we'll pour them over the top and let the carrots cook for a little bit longer. I'm gonna take a tablespoon of butter, stick it into the pan along with a tablespoon of honey, and we're just gonna stir these together. And then once it's melted, I just wanna pop these carrots out of the oven real quick. You can see they're getting nice and brown, and I should mention you always want to give them a couple shakes every 5 or so minutes so that they're browning evenly. I'm going to pour this honey butter over the carrots, and then I just want to stick them back in the oven for about 5 or 10 minutes. You don't want them to get overcooked or burn, and you have to be a little bit careful because there's the honey on them now. Keep an eye on them, and we're just going to pull them out once they're super easily in the thickest part of the carrot pulled through with the knife. So I think these need about 5 more minutes. And it'll vary depending on how thick the carrot is. So stick these back in. Just a few more minutes. That'll give me time to get our soup warmed up for dinner, and then we'll be ready to eat. So these kind of fatter carrots took about 25 minutes total, but skinnier carrots will take a little bit less time. So you'll just need to check on them as they cook. And I'm just gonna take them off and pile them onto this platter here, and as you can see, they've got these nice caramelized bits that are so pretty and so tasty. Roasting is just the best way to have carrots, I think. They look really pretty, especially with the little nub of leaves up there on the top. It's super cute. And now I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper over the top to finish things off. Nice kosher salt there, and just a few grinds of fresh pepper. So delicious. Okay. Delicious. I'm gonna go give this to John over at the table. Okay, so I got the roasted carrots, and I roasted them in honey, so they're gonna be really sweet, I think.
These are our carrots?
Yes, there are carrots.
The itty bitty carrots we planted?
Yes, they turned out so well.
Oh my
so
gosh.
much better than last year's carrots. I think they kind of turned out perfect.
I'm just gonna go for it.
They're really good. Oh, I'm so glad our carrots turned out good.
I gotta say, I am duly impressed.
Yeah, after 3 years, finally having tasty carrots is a major accomplishment, I feel like.
They were totally worth the wait.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of Grow, Cook, Eat, and if you have any comments for us, please leave them. We'd love to hear from you.
You can also share our videos on Facebook.
And tune in again because we have one more episode of Grow, Cook, Eat for this season. Thanks!
Until next time.